I really could have just turboed the stock engine on my Scion XB, but that's just asking to throw a rod, and we've already done that once, not trying to do it again. I'm hoping this car is dailyable once we're done here, and it's already been a few weeks. All the parts are just sitting in my garage, so let's build this right. Now, previously on the channel, we did tear down the entire engine of the XB to the bare block and the bare head. So if you guys want to check out that whole video and the whole process of me doing that, it'll be linked down below and it'll be very much appreciated. Back to the video.
And now, since the engine is already torn down, today we're going to go over everything that's going to be going into it before we throw it in here and have it spool up some boost. We're going to be breaking this into 3 parts. The first one is going to be the motor with all the components that will be going into the engine itself. The second one is going to be the turbo kit and everything that comes kind of with it. The third one is going to be everything aside from those 2 things that I bought for the build.
Sorry if so far I'm rambling a lot, but there are a lot of parts that we've bought for the build. Now, I'm going to go into detail on why I bought every single thing on this list and why you should too. If you're planning to boost your XB, your TC, a Camry, Corolla, whatever it might be, and here's why you should buy these things.
Now, a huge shout out to MaxpeedingRods for actually making this build happen. They ended up sending us our entire engine rebuild kit and the turbo kit for the XB. MaxpeedingRods has a collection of coilovers to turbo kits to control arms for all types of different makes and models, all on an easy to browse webpage. So if you guys drive something different like the XB, that's definitely the place to check out. I'll leave the link down below, and if you guys use code Yafet, you'll get 10% off. Alright, so we'll start with the engine rebuild kit. This is everything that came in the MaxpeedingRods 2AZFE engine rebuild kit. So it's going to come with a new crankshaft. It's going to come with new rods. It's going to come with new pistons. All 4 of them are in here with the rings for the pistons, which if you didn't know, pistons have rings right here. The entire gasket kit, which it's a lot. So you have the head gasket, you have the intake manifold gasket, any kind of gasket you're going to need, it's going to be in here. Now this is for the exhaust side. This is like the exhaust thingy. I forget what it's called, but that's what it is. You have the timing gears with the chain. You have new head studs, new bearings for the rods and for the main, new valves for both sides, so you're going to get the exhaust side and the intake side, new timing chain guides, and that's basically it for the rebuild kit. Very straightforward. If you were rebuilding just the engine without turboing it, I would use all of these parts. For the price, they are super budget friendly. Most rebuild kits I've seen for the 2AZ are upwards of like $1,000 to $1,200. This one, I think without a discount and everything, are about $600, so it's pretty good price for everything that you get. The only thing I could think that you might need would be some lubricant. If you're assembling everything yourself, you're going to need some lubricant to lube the crankshaft and the rods and the bearings and all that good stuff, and obviously some like gasket maker. Alright, now some things I'm replacing and also upgrading while the engine's apart. So the oil pumps are known to fail after like 250,000 miles. Mine was like 200, so I might as well just replace that with like an OEM brand one. Then water pump. On the Facebook forums, I've heard that these start to fail once you start throwing some boost at it, so might as well replace that while it's all taken apart. Other than that, we are doing ARP head studs and ARP main studs. Now these are just to basically hold the head gasket together and to hold all the main bearings together. Now we're throwing some good boost at it, so I don't want it to fail and I want this to last. So I actually did get some new ACL thrust washers, which basically go on the crank. And then I actually ended up getting some new race rod and main bearings from King. Now these are pretty good and they're known to handle boost on the 2AZFE, so these should not give us any problems. Now there is 2 other things that haven't arrived yet, which are the 2 most important parts. Now, since I am throwing boost at it, I'm not going to be using the OEM rods or the OEM pistons. I do have forged ones coming in. I don't know when those will be here, but just know I'm putting forged rods and forged pistons. That way the engine isn't spaghetti once we start trying to do some pulls in it. Alright, now that's going to be it for the engine. Let's get to the turbo kit. Now, the part that you guys probably most wondering about is going to be the turbo kit. Now, as you guys can see, this little guy right here, it's a GT35 turbo. Now, you can pause to read this, but here are the specs on the turbo. Now, this turbo is going to turn my toaster into a freaking rocket, okay? Now, these turbos are known to make up to about 600 horsepower, which is way more than enough to make my little toaster pretty rowdy. Now, it comes with the intercooler with the two sides for the piping. And here are the specs for that. Already has these pre-built, so you can kind of make a bracket and bolt it on to the core support. Then you're going to have your blow-off valve and your wastegate. And the specs for both of these. Give you guys an upwards look of it. That's already greased. I haven't opened this up, but we will eventually. This one. Pretty straightforward, looks good quality. It's gonna come with a turbo blanket. Now, if we wanna use this, we can. It's basically just gonna cover this right there on the turbo. Comes with a bunch of fittings for your oil feed and return lines, which are also right here. Comes with a few gaskets for you to be able to mount the turbo onto the manifold. Now, the manifold back here didn't come with the kit. I had to order this separately. Now, this is a cast manifold for the 2AZFE. Again, here are the specs. As you guys can see, the turbo would bolt right here. So it's going to be like this. The turbo would bolt right here going downward. Your blow-off valve goes right here. The other thing is it comes with a tachometer and a shift light. I'm not too sure if I will use this, but if you guys would like to use it, I don't see why not. It would basically just tell you when you have to shift, and then it tells you your oil pressure, your water temp, and your oil temperature. Like, that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, that's going to be it for the turbo kit. Pretty straightforward. I'm so excited to get this thing mounted onto the engine, but we got to first build the engine, and then we'll get to this part. Now, huge shout out to MaxpeedingRods for helping us out with the build. If you want to check them out, everything will be linked down below. Just make sure to use code Yafet at checkout. Alright, so now we'll clear the table and bring out the last few parts that we've bought. Alright, now here they are, the last bit of parts that we've bought for the build. Alright, now this is basically everything that we have bought so far. We are still missing a few pieces. Now let's go over everything. As you guys can see, we have a spec clutch and flywheel. Now, this is only a stage 1. I really didn't want a really heavy clutch. I'm going to be trying to daily this car after it's done, so we shall see how it goes, but I've heard great things about this one. That's about it for that. Now, the rest of the parts basically are all part of the same system. As you guys can see, the fuel cell. Now, the car is pretty low. We're still trying to go lower while keeping it turbo, so we're going to get rid of the gas tank and put a fuel cell in there. That way we don't have to worry about the fuel catching on fire and then the whole car is gone and the entire channel goes to So, fuel cell. This one is a 10-gallon fuel cell. It has the 2 ports on the outside and the 2 ports up top. Then we have this, which it's a billet fuel rail with two fittings at the end. Now, if you guys don't know, the XB is a returnless style from factory, so it only has 1 port. It doesn't have this side. When you add a fuel cell, you need a return line and a feed line. So feed, return, that's what it is. This is the company that I bought it from. It's called Performance Porting LLC. They are the only manufacturer that makes a billet fuel rail for the 2AZFE, so this was mandatory. Everything else is part of the fuel system. So this is the rollover vent valve that goes up top in case the car rolls over. It shouldn't roll over because it's still going to be planted on the floor, but you never know. Then we have a fuel pump with 2 different micron filters. So one is 10 and one is 40 microns. We have all the tabs and fittings to kind of like bolt them up. More fittings, and then we have our fuel lines. So we have 2 different ones. One is the feed and return. It's pretty self-explanatory, and that's basically going to be it for the fuel system. We are eventually going to need bigger injectors. The OEM ones aren't going to hold up to the amount of power we're going to be trying to push out of it. So I do have to order, I believe they are 750cc injectors. There's a few other ones. Some people get 1000 cc's just to be safe, but I think we should be okay with 750 cc's. Now, I'm not just going to say that all the parts are perfect. We won't really know if everything is good until it's installed in the car and the car is driving. But most of the parts are here, and I'm super excited to see how the build turns out. Again, huge shout out to MaxpeedingRods for helping out with the build. If you guys want to check them out, the link will be down below. Now, make sure you guys subscribe. We're taking everything to the machine shop next, so hopefully everything is all said and done with that pretty soon. And we'll be back building the engine, turboing this shit, and I cannot wait until we start driving it. Let's go, and we'll be back on the next one. Peace.